and welcome. You're listening to the Just Love Them podcast. I'm your host, Shiree Best. Here, we discover how to stay connected, find healing, and keep loving those who no longer share our faith. My dad was turning 90. When you make it to 90, there's just got to be a celebration. The different parts of the party were assigned between us kids, and the invites were sent out to family and close friends. I knew that this day was going to be a really busy one. It was a Saturday that would start with supporting my grandson at his sporting event, some 20 minutes from my house, and then driving back home. Following that, I was going to clean the Airbnb that we have in our basement. And if the guests left it fairly clean, I knew that I could clean it in about an hour if I hurried. Following that, we were going to drive up past where the party was being held, an hour and 20 minutes away, to my mother-in-law's house. She lives about 15 minutes from where this party for my dad was being held. And we don't see her that often. We knew if we were going all the way up to the party, we wanted to go see her too. This was going to give us a really tight schedule that day, and we would likely be a little bit late to the birthday party, but we thought we could squeeze it all in. Fairly late the evening before the party, I received a text from a close family member, and the text said, "So and so, let's call her Jane, doesn't have a vehicle right now, but really wants to come to the party. Do you think you could stop and pick her up?" This woman lived in Salt Lake, which we were going to be passing by. I thought about it. It was on the way, and yet it wasn't on the way. The time it would take to get off the freeway, drive to her house, get her in the car because she's old, drive back to the freeway, continue on our journey, it was going to set us considerably behind, and we were already going to be late. In addition, we would either need to take her with us to my mother-in-law's house, which would be a little weird and awkward, or we were going to need to drop her off at my parents' before going to my mother-in-law's, which would set us even further behind. What to do? I started thinking, am I worried that someone will be mad at me if I say no to this? Am I coming at this from a place of people pleaser, making sacrifices that may be too great in order to accommodate someone else? Am I feeling guilted into picking up this woman? Or do I feel prompted to say yes? Does it feel like a right fit to make this sacrifice to accommodate? Because as we all know, service is rarely, if ever, convenient. What feels right? Sometimes it is so hard to stand back in the moment and see clearly what to do. Have you ever been in a really thick fog where it's so hard to see what's right in front of you and it's super easy to get disoriented? Sometimes navigating relationship stuff is like being in a fog. It's hard to see clearly what's right in front of you and which way to turn. It's easy to get disoriented. In the end, I responded to the text that I had other obligations and I would not be able to pick up this woman, but that I hoped she could find another way. I got a text back that said she doesn't have another way. What am I to do? I want Jane to be able to attend the party. I also have to clean the Airbnb, which I can't do until the guests check out at 11 a.m. My husband and I also really want to go visit his mother. When we get asked to do something that we don't want to do, or that's inconvenient, or that's hard, how do you know when it's okay to say no? How do you get out of the fog? Wouldn't it be great if you had some sort of special glasses that you could put on to help you see clearly in these kinds of situations? Would you be excited to know that there actually is? It's 3 questions that will help you get out of the fog. You're going to ask yourself these 3 questions when you're feeling pressured to do something. The first question is, am I doing this out of fear, obligation, or guilt? FOG. Fear, obligation, or guilt. Then take a moment and evaluate. Am I doing this out of fear? Am I doing this out of obligation? Am I doing this out of guilt? Everyone, please hear this, especially those of you who are people pleasers. I really want you to hear this. You are often the ones who give too much, who sacrifice yourselves to the point of your own detriment, who run yourselves ragged, helping and doing and fixing and pleasing, usually out of fear, obligation, and guilt. You are afraid that saying no means that you are unchristlike, a bad person, or selfish. You can't stand the idea of having someone else be unhappy with you, whether it's your spouse, your child, your parent, your sibling, your neighbor, your friend, your boss, your coworker. You will do anything to keep people happy, even when it's to your own detriment. When you get healthy and stop being motivated to say yes by fear, obligation, and guilt, you will have healthy boundaries and you will minimize the amount of being taken advantage of you are currently subjecting yourself to. Because, ouch, yes, it is your fault that you say yes when you want to say no. And it is your fault that you do things you don't want to do while feeling resentful and overwhelmed the whole time. It is your fault that you sacrifice too much and that you put yourself last. And despite all of this, it doesn't actually improve the relationships you are making these sacrifices to improve. Hear this. No healthy relationship can be built on fear, obligation, or guilt. They just can't. Are people sometimes going to be unhappy with you? Yes. Is it hard to say no? Absolutely. Are you a bad person for saying no? Absolutely not. Getting out of the fog has been life-changing for me. And the next two questions bring even more clarity. If question number one is, am I doing this out of fear, obligation, or guilt? Then question number two is, what am I giving up? And question number three becomes, is this the right thing? Back to my dad's party. When I asked myself, if I say yes to doing this, am I doing it out of fear, obligation, or guilt? When I asked that question, I knew immediately that I would be doing it out of all three. Fear of having this close family member not be happy with me. Obligation, I'm the daughter. I live this far south. This is an obligation thing. I need to make everybody happy. Guilt, she doesn't have another way there. She won't be able to come if I don't pick her up. I'm the only solution. So I asked myself, number two, what am I giving up if I say yes to this? I'm giving up visiting my mother-in-law to give a ride to someone I hardly know. Question number three, is it the right thing? No. As it was, the game with my grandson was awesome, and our guests in the short-term rental left it a mess. It took much longer to clean, even when my husband jumped in and helped. We ended up having to pivot, and we solved the problem by inviting my mother-in-law to meet us at the party for my dad, which ended up being a blessing in disguise because she got to see some of her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren that she would not have seen otherwise, and my parents were happy to have her there. And the woman who needed a ride, Jane, another solution was found, and she was able to attend after all. Am I glad I did not respond out of fear, obligation, or guilt? Absolutely. Was everybody happy with me because it felt right to say no? Absolutely not. But it was still the right thing. You may or may not know that I'm also a registered nurse. A couple of years back, I was working in a clinic at the hospital. In this particular clinic, we treated wounds. Because of our specialty, we took turns being on call on weekends and holidays in case there were needs on the floors of the particular hospitals we serviced. Occasionally, we would swap weekends with each other as different needs and opportunities arose. One day, I was approached by a nurse in our clinic with a very strong personality. She had a reputation for getting her way and subtly making you sorry if you did not give her her way. She asked me if I could trade weekends the next week. Her in-laws had decided at the last moment to fly in from across the country, and she wanted the weekend free to spend time with them. On the surface, that seemed reasonable enough, but there was a problem. The weekend she wanted me to cover was the very one I had promised my grandson I would be at his soccer game. I'd also arranged to meet a friend for lunch afterward. If I said yes, I would have to miss the soccer game, which I was looking forward to, and my grandson would no doubt be disappointed. I would also have to reschedule lunch with my friend, which I didn't want to do. But if I said no, I risked upsetting this nurse, and she wasn't someone you wanted to be on the bad side of. Plus, didn't her in laws coming into town at the last moment trump my plans? She stood there waiting, arms crossed, not moving until I gave her an answer. I could feel the pressure tightening in my chest. My heart said, "Don't disappoint your grandson." My head said, "Don't make trouble at work." And there I stood, caught in the middle of those two voices, trying to decide what to do. Was I going to make a decision based on fear, obligation, or guilt? What would I be giving up? And what was the right thing to do? Though I didn't know about fog, fear, obligation, and guilt at the time, I told her I would evaluate if I could trade and get back to her. In the end, I decided not to trade her. It was a bold move, but I felt good about it. And guess what? She found someone else to trade with, and it all worked out just fine. I had a neighbor who was single. She had gone back to work after her divorce, and she operated in survival mode most of the time, trying to balance time between her children and her work. As a result, things that were not necessary fell by the wayside, including her yard. The green grass that had once existed turned yellow, and weeds began popping up. Several large bushes in her front yard died from lack of water and remained in place. One day when I was visiting her, she started telling me about her yard. She was fully aware of how unsightly it was, and she talked about maybe starting to try and water again, planting some flowers, getting rid of the dead bushes. She asked me if my husband Kim and I might be willing to help her figure out how to get rid of the bushes. I told her I would talk to my husband and get back to her. Later, as Kim and I talked, we decided we could help. My ever resourceful husband came up with a plan to tie one end of the rope to the base of the bushes and the other to the tow bar under his truck and pull the bushes out by driving the truck slowly forward. Now for the three questions. 1, did we feel like we were helping her out of fear, obligation, or guilt? No, we didn't. We genuinely wanted to help this neighbor and were even excited about our plan on how to do it. Number 2, what were we giving up? Some time on a Saturday. Number 3, is it the right thing? We both felt it was. We felt really good about helping her. And it was actually pretty cool watching those bushes being pulled out by the truck. You may have noticed that in all three of these instances, I took some time to think about it. Even when someone was standing there waiting with their arms folded, waiting for an answer, I told them I would get back to them. It is absolutely okay to not answer someone in the moment. It is perfectly okay to take some time to evaluate, to think about it, and then to get back to them. Take that time to run through these three questions. Am I operating out of fear, obligation, or guilt? What am I giving up? And is it the right thing? Navigating relationships can be so tricky. Navigating relationships with loved ones who no longer hold the same belief system as you do can be even trickier. You may feel like you're walking on eggshells all the time, or that you have to choose your words really carefully, or that you have to handle the relationship with kid gloves. You may feel tempted to bend over backward and do everything possible to try and salvage the relationship. But remember, no healthy relationship can be built on fear, obligation, and guilt. These three questions are awesome to have when you're faced with questions like, can I bring wine to Christmas dinner? Can you bail me out of jail? Or let's do our family boating reunion on Sunday, or whatever conflicts with your values. Having these three questions allows you to get out of the fog, the fear, the obligation, and the guilt, and put on lenses of clarity, which allows you to navigate your relationships in a healthy way without falling into fog. When you come from a place of true integrity, your relationships are healthier. Let me say that again. When you come from a place of true integrity, your relationships are healthier. And these three questions can help you do it. I invite you to try asking yourself these three questions next time you are asked to do something that you don't want to do, that's inconvenient, or that's hard. In the words of Monk, you'll thank me later. If you want a written version of these questions, head over to the Just Love Them Facebook page where you can see these questions in writing, get great information, and great support. I love you, my friend. I'll see you again next time for another episode of Just Love Them.